This is VOCM Open Line. Call 709-273-5211 or 1-888-590-8626. The views and opinions of this program are not necessarily those of this station. The biggest conversation in Newfoundland and Labrador starts now.
Well, good morning. How are you this morning? I ask. How's your back? How's your back, David? He's giving me the thumbs down. Yeah, that's a lot of snow we had over the last 24 hours or so. And for many people, it is an awful lot to deal with. It's one thing if you're young and healthy and ready to go at a given moment to, exert yourself in such a way, but it's a whole other thing for someone who happens to be either a senior or is physically impaired in some kind of way, or has small children in the house and can't leave, or whatever the situation might be. It is a lot to deal with. Anyway. Are you tired of shoveling? How's the old snowblower doing? I know some people have snowblowers and love them, but even the snowblowers were complaining yesterday. Getting overheated and the like. Is there any help in the community for people? I know there's a couple of kids in my neighborhood, as a matter of fact, that go door to door, which is greatly appreciated for a lot of people, and I see them busy at it from time to time. But do you have much help in the community? Are there any organizations? We were getting calls in the newsroom yesterday after I got off VOCM Open Line and asking, what kind of services are available out there. So I'm putting it out to the general community. If you know of a service that will help people shovel out from this mess, then give us a call and let us know what they are. A lot of people in the meantime rely on really good neighbors. Anybody who I know who has a snowblower and is able to do so usually helps out their neighbors when they can. It's a time when people come together in a lot of ways, and it's a time when people can feel pretty isolated at other times. So if you have any thoughts on that, you're welcome to give us a call. Here's a question, and Brian Medore raised this in the VOCM newsroom this morning. During Snowmageddon, you may recall that we had to get special permission after Snowmageddon to take all of that snow that had collected on the roads and put it somewhere. Where do you put it? I mean, everybody is dealing with that on an individual basis for their walkways or their driveways. But where do you put it in a city? And, of course, there's areas where they pile it up, and I passed by one the other day. It was like a little Mount Everest there in the middle of a residential area. But in these huge volumes, it has to be put somewhere. And piling it up is not always necessarily the right thing to do. But you can't just dump it in the water either, because there's environmental concerns there. So we had to get special permission to dump the snow in the harbor back during Snowmageddon. Are we getting to that point now? Have we already passed that point? Are we doing that? I'd like to hear what you have to say about that. And we're going to try and get an update, by the way, from the city to see where they're putting it all. Well, men's hockey during the Olympics yesterday couldn't have been more exciting. Tense, a little bit tense, the Team Canada game. It didn't feel like we were going to do it there for a little while. It's very interesting to see that 3 of the quarterfinal games yesterday were decided in overtime. Those are evenly matched teams. This is going to be a real nail-biter. And I know I gained a few extra gray hairs yesterday, as did an awful lot of people watching that game. So thankfully, Nick Suzuki got the tied it up, in the third period. I'm sorry, a little distracted here. And then, of course, Mitch Marner got the overtime goal. Thank goodness for that. So we're heading on to the semifinals now against Finland. That was another tight race. And the U.S. is taking on Slovakia in the other semifinal matchup. And that's not it. Team Canada's women hockey team, of course, guaranteed a medal today. What will it be? Well, they're playing the gold medal game against the United States, which, as we know, obliterated Canada just a few short days ago. So, Team U.S. has really come up in women's hockey. Canada dominated women's hockey for so many years. And now we have some really good competition worldwide. And the United States is arguably the best. Hopefully we could pull it out. Anyway, a lot of people will be watching that game this afternoon, 2:40 local time, I think. So an awful lot of people will be watching hockey today. Go Team Canada. Well, you're probably waiting for me to mention this one, but huge international news this morning. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, the former prince and younger brother of King Charles III, has been arrested by police in the United Kingdom. As we know, Andrew has been featured prominently in the Epstein files and has since had his titles and privileges removed. Now comes word he's been arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office related to documents that seem to show that Andrew forwarded Jeffrey Epstein reports about Vietnam and Singapore that he put together for him following official visits to those countries and other countries as well. And there are other reports in the UK questioning whether Andrew shared information from the British Treasury to a banking executive. So according to Thames Valley Police, they arrested a man in his 60s. They're not naming him because that's their official stance, but we all know who it is. Arrested a man in his 60s, his 66th birthday today, by the way, from Norfolk on suspicion on misconduct in public office. So using his office for personal gain, I suppose, and are carrying out searches at addresses in Berkshire and Norfolk. And they go on to say that the man remains in police custody at this time. An extraordinary development. And how the mighty have fallen. And while the arrest in this particular case is not directly related to some of the more seemly allegations related to sex trafficking and abuse of minors, it seems abundantly clear that there are a lot more revelations to be made related to the Epstein files. And a lot of people are saying that there's a lot more to come. But the millions of documents that have been released publicly takes an awful lot of time to parse through. Some of them are non-consequential. There are a lot that are non-consequential. But there are some that contain some pretty serious things. And it goes to show that power and privilege among some of the world's most rich and powerful people was being abused in a variety of ways. So, big revelations this morning, and I'm sure that cast a shadow and sent a chill through an awful lot of world leaders and prominent people, many of whom are named in the Epstein files today. Well, back locally, the FFAW welcoming changes made by government to the fish processing licensing process. In a letter to the union, the Department of Fisheries says applications for fish processing licenses will no longer be considered by the Fish Processing Licensing Board and will instead go straight to the minister for consideration. Now, what that means, I'm not sure. It came out of a call that we had on Open Line yesterday from the president of the FFAW, Dewan Street, and the union shared the letter from government to the union outlining this new change in policy. But it doesn't clearly show whether or not the Fish Processing Licensing Board is being, broken up. Does it mean that it's no longer a thing? I'm not entirely clear. So the question is going out there, and I hope that we can hear from the fisheries minister, Loyola O'Driscoll, on that topic today, just to see what it means exactly and why this decision was made. The department says the decision is being made to streamline the processing of licensing applications and, in quotations, reduce barriers. The updated application process will also include the ability to receive a conditional fish processing license where there is a commitment to buy or construct a fish plant. So what that means, according to Duane Street, who was on the show yesterday, is that changes will remove barriers and improve competition. Well, what are your thoughts on that? Will improve competition? Is it cause for concern or celebration? If you have any thoughts on that, you're welcome to give us a call. Well, we're going to start the show this morning with the caller who is waiting for us on line 1. Hello, Ronald. Hello. Oh, it's Brenda. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Brenda, hello.
Oh, hi. Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, we're surviving the snow.
Somehow.
The reason I called this morning was a couple of things, actually, like you mentioned about Des Whalen's appointment, and the funds are coming out of the MCP money, and which I don't blame him, because if you're offered an appointment like that, well, you're not going to say no.
No, certainly you're not, no.
You know? But I just wanted to mention, I have a friend who's totally disabled. And I mean totally, like, you know, you can't scratch your nose, you can't turn over in bed, you can't pull up a blanket, you can't kick off a blanket, like, you can't get much more disabled, I don't think. And, like, this person can't get 24-hour care and lives alone. So it's disappointing because, you know, for at least a day, there's nobody there. So you can't get a drink of water, you can't call anybody on the phone, you know, and then somebody else is going to be in this position, getting paid huge amounts of dollars, but yet there's no funding for somebody that's disabled. Like, I don't know where the justice is in that. And the other thing that really bothers me is this commercial, how kind Canadians are, and people say how kind Newfoundlanders are. Well, maybe one time, but not anymore. I mean, this person lives on a street, and all around are people with snowblowers. Not one person will even go and cut a path to the door so that somebody, like at least the home care workers, can get in. And, you know, that bothers me too, you know, like, they have to know that this person is disabled. How could you not? When you see the wheelways bus pull up sometimes, and you know, on times an ambulance or some paramedics or whatever, like, you'd have to know that this person is disabled, but yet nobody will be kind enough to go over and clean that driveway or at least a path. So, you know, I just had to call this morning because it just bothers me so much. And, like, I've written letters to government, Joanne Thompson, when she was down on the East End, and all kinds of people in government to see about getting 24-hour care, and there's just no way. Can't get it. And so, even some of the workers, like, they don't even want.
Sorry, what is this? Yeah, sorry. What is this person's allotment? How much time do they get? How many hours?
She right now getting, I believe it's 20 or 21. But those last 2 or 3 hours, they just will not give it. I don't get it.
And those are the overnight hours that they're not getting that care?
Basically, like say from 9:30 till 11 or 11:30, and then from 7:30 till 9:30. And then if in the morning a person doesn't show up, like last week, Lifeline called me because the person didn't show up in the morning. And so I called the company to let them know that the person didn't show up, and we knew that the person wasn't coming because she said she wasn't. She had an appointment. But whatever happened, nobody else was scheduled in. And when I called the company, the girl was really rude, beyond rude. And I said, like, this person is here and can't do anything. And I didn't even get to finish my sentence. And she was just really nasty. And so, you know, like for those few hours, you know, that's a lot. When you're there alone and you can't do anything, that's a lot.
It's distressing, isn't it? I mean, we're putting this emphasis now on aging in place and staying in your own home, and people who have a variety of physical impairments, whatever the case may be, would prefer to be in home rather than institutional care. And yet the supports, it seems, you have to fight and claw and bite and scream for the little that you get. And it's a serious concern. It's obviously wearing heavily on you. Is this a family member of yours?
No, a very close friend. We've been friends for like over 50 years.
Yeah.
And like I visit her every week Thursdays, and we'll have supper together and watch a movie and stuff like that. And like they're our family, but they don't do anything at all. So you can't. There's no point in calling any of them. So she depends mostly on one worker who she's had for 20 years and myself, basically. And only, you know, because we advocate for her all the time. And this one worker, like, she goes above and beyond. Like, she's not paid half the time for what she does. She's not even close. Like, she does things way after hours and picks up her groceries and pays all her bills and looks after all her financing, and like she's more than a home care worker. There's no two ways about it. But she's not paid for it. Like she just does it because she's a good person, you know. But the other workers, oh my God, it leaves a lot to be desired. A few nights ago, my friend, she wanted to get turned because she can't turn over, and the workers said, well, I only turned you an hour ago. Well, I mean, how many times do you turn over in the run of a night?
Well, it's not on a schedule, I can tell you that. It's whenever you feel like you need to turn over.
Look, I'm like a flounder, especially before I go to sleep, just trying to get comfortable. So, you know, the worker more or less threatened her and said, well, I only turned you over an hour ago. She said, I'll have to call the company. Wow. And I said, well, you should have let her call the company because that's what you need, you know? But, yeah,
it's distressing.
terrible.
It's distressing for certain.
Yeah. And so for Mr. Whalen to get all this money and probably already got a decent pension, and somebody else can't get a few hours care, like there's, and now, like, for her today to have to pay to get someone to come in and clean the driveway, that's a lot of money that she doesn't have.
And like you say, I don't fault Dr. Whalen for being,
not at all.
Compensated in that way. That's not his fault. It's a decision that was made, and for it to come what amounts to a political position coming out of MCP. Well, some people like yourself, as you just raised, find that galling.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. And like this is just one person, and I don't know how many more are out there like it. You know, probably quite a few if we actually knew.
Well, you know, people are listening. I'd like to hear what they have to say about, you know, home care and aging in place and supports in the community for someone who wants to stay at home or is best staying at home. I'd like to hear what they have to say about that. I really appreciate your call this morning, Brenda. Thank you.
Oh, Oh, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye. Yeah, your thoughts on that, you're certainly welcome to give us a call. We're going to take a short break, but before we do, we have an update. Metrobus and GoBus service is going to resume at 10 o'clock this morning. So for anybody who needs that service to get around and go where they need to go, that starts again at 10 a.m. Metrobus and GoBus service resuming at 10 this morning. When we come back, we hope to speak with you. And we're back. We're going now to Chris. You're on the air. Hi, Chris.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
Good. So I'm calling this morning to talk about some of the news that's come up around John Risley in the last couple days.
Yeah, a lawsuit now. Brendan Paddock has filed a lawsuit against him.
Yes. So and the lawsuit is quite interesting. You know, him and Brendan were business partners and buddies and trying to tell everyone how important their energy projects were. And now they're turning on each other, which is, you know, sort of a lovely thing to see. But the much more concerning thing is what caused that lawsuit. And so John's business is insolvent. He's trying to avoid bankruptcy because he's racked up over $1 billion in debt. And so because of the restructuring of his company that is being done to facilitate this incredible amount of debt, a promissory note that was made to Brendan is not being fulfilled, or hasn't been fulfilled yet, at least. And so that's where the like $25 million that Brendan is suing John comes from. It's just sort of a symptom of the collapse of his investment business.
So, well, where are you getting this information? So, for anybody who's not familiar with it, the company that's gone insolvent is?
Let me get it right. CFFI Ventures Inc. And so they're not insolvent yet, but they're going through the courts to restructure because of that impending insolvency. Not to like plug other news sources, but Global News, I think, has the best or the most fulsome coverage of it at the moment. So if people want to just Google John Risley Global News, they would probably get that full article that breaks down sort of the hows and the whys. The concerning thing now for me, I mean, it's obviously like John is not the businessman he told us, or the former premier told us he was. But also, because of this restructuring, it makes it entirely possible that John's assets, which include New Dock and the port in Stephenville, will be sold to this American new company that will exist out of his debtors.
And whatever happened to World Energy GH2?
So they still exist, and they are part of this entity that John has made, or rather, CFFI owns a substantial portion of World Energy. So, you know, it's not a guarantee that all of World Energy's assets would be sold to this new AcquireCo, I think is the very silly name of the new company that they're making up. But I mean, there's going to be a huge amount of assets transferred, and it very likely could include the major docks in the province. So
what would the impact be here then if it rolls out the way that you fear it might?
I mean, exactly what the impact is, I really couldn't say. You know, I'm sure John doesn't actually do that much in the day-to-day with the ports. You know, there are people that do that, and so the ownership structure would change, and where the money goes would change, and who makes some of the decisions would change. But I'm not sure it would actually interrupt any kind of operations. But it would change the ownership.
And what does this, I mean, this hasn't been proven in court or anything, but what does this say to you?
I mean that that John is not a good businessman. And, his involvement with the government in seeking public money is incredibly inappropriate. Since the new year, John has been pitching at least 3 different ventures to the public and the government trying to seek money. He wants money for a northern port. He wants money to upgrade the docks in St. John's, and he wants money for his clean grid Atlantic. And he also owes EDC, the Export Development Canada, $120 million. And so it's not quite clear if he intends to pay that, if EDC intends to collect it, or if the federal government is going to be one of the debtors who is left holding the bag. It's, I don't want to presume that's the case, but I have emailed EDC asking for clarity on the matter.
And what's your interest in all of this?
I live on the West Coast, and John pitched the windmills to a group I was a part of many years ago. And it didn't sound very credible then, and I've spent many, many, many hours learning about energy since then.
So, Chris, you see copious red flags here.
Oh, I mean, so many. There were red flags when John was pitching his energy plans too. He very clearly said they were planning to deliver first hydrogen in 2025. And that was absolutely never a realistic goal, but that was part of the investment pitch, and he was allowed to say that. And his most recent pitch for the Clean Grid Atlantic did require a somewhat substantial correction. Initially, at the start of the year, he was saying that his plans would triple the output of power from Atlantic Canada. And he has since walked that back to double, even though that is still just a demonstrably false statement.
Chris, I appreciate your call this morning. If anyone wants to, respond to what you've had to say, or if Mr. Risley himself is listening and wants to share his thoughts on it, he's certainly welcome to do so. I appreciate your call.
I appreciate you. You have a good day.
All right. Bye-bye. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we hope to speak with you. And we're back. We're going to go now to Rob. You're on the air. Hi, Rob.
Morning, Linda.
How are you?
Sore, like everybody else.
Like everyone, yeah.
Colin, this morning, I wanted to address a very serious problem we ran into yesterday. Of course, I would call the last couple of days an extraordinary weather event. It's not, we typically don't get 2 or 3 days of this, and then followed, of course, now what's going to be at least a week of cleanup. Mm-hmm. And what I want to address applies to the Registered Nurses Union, as well as NL Health Services, in trying to get their staff, the essential staff, that need to be at work, to work. And what we ran into yesterday is roads not being plowed. Now, I know this is an old story, but it's kind of a double-edged sword here, because here's what happens. When you're mandated to go to work as a nurse, if you don't get there, somebody at work is going to be there 24 hours. And to get there, it's dangerous. Or you can't get there because in our instance yesterday, the road was impassable. There was 4 feet of snow on the road. When I contacted the town, I live in Paradise, so we had I believe I measured 75 to 80 centimeters out in the yard. I mean, that's an atrocious amount of snow. We had 4 feet of snow on the road, so the road was impassable, so we could not get down the road. There was no way. Even a truck with a blade on it, there was no way that could happen. So my wife is mandated to go to work, but she can't get to the road is impassable. So the employer says, you need to be here. That's what you signed up for. And then you call the town of Paradise and say, listen, I particularly know there's 3 nurses on this street that are essential workers that are in units that have very sick people that have to be there. And the town says to you, well, that's what you signed up for, and we only give you one cut, in our instance, in 14 hours. Well, we have to start some type of dialogue here, and there needs to be attention put on this, because years ago, there was some sort of transportation arrangement to pick these people up. These people have no choice but to we have people sick in the hospital. They have to get to work. The issue I think the biggest issue is the snow plowing operations. When you call down there and say, listen, there's a couple of nurses up on the street here, got to be to work. They're working in an acute care unit. And the answer is, well, you're no different than nobody else. I have no answer as to what you would do in that circumstance, but it's certainly an issue for NL Health Services, who are looking for the staff to get in, and the staff literally physically can't get in. And I'm sure I'm not the only one. There's probably many I'd love to hear from them this morning. And, of course, the union to bring up, because if you don't get to work, then you will probably be written off or spoken to. Why didn't you get here? You're an essential worker. But at the end of the day, there's no way to get there. And, you contact the town, like I said, and it was this extraordinary storm that the plows can't keep against it. It can't keep against the drifting. So what happens when you live on a side road, which many of us do, and the mandate of the town is that's the last thing we look at.
And in the case and the like, yeah, sure, for sure, yeah.
Right. In our case yesterday and today, of course, they're trying to keep the main arteries open, understandably so. So I'm in a position here where I'm not really against anybody, but someone needs to talk about a solution. The last thing we need, I think about it, is outside the box, is and many of us have people inside the hospital that are very, very sick or in a very acute care unit, requiring extensive care. We don't need nurses 20 hours, 24 hours, that are tired, that could make a mistake because of the simple fact that there's no plan in place to bring in a nurse to replace that nurse.
So
and years ago, I know there was.
Sorry, how does it typically work then? Because I know in our workplace, and I'm not comparing radio broadcasters to nurses by any means, because it's two completely different jobs. But we're expected to be in, because you don't just turn off the radio because it's snow day. You know what I mean? I've never had a snow day in my life, and I've been at this for a very long time. So there's our company puts together a snow plan. Every time there's snow in the forecast, we have a little snow plan, and everybody knows who's going to be where and how this person's getting in and all of that stuff, and if they need to be picked up and if they don't need to be picked up, or if we need to put them somewhere close to the station so that they're handy, or so there's always a plan in place. Now, our staff is nothing like the Health Sciences Center, if you know what I'm saying, but there's a plan. Right. And I'm sure many other businesses and companies and operations have a similar thing. So what is it with NLHS then?
So, emails were sent and questions asked to supervisors, and apparently what I heard was this was in place years ago, and it became a liability. Meaning, if someone came to pick you up, well, you're in someone else's vehicle, there's a liability, and I can see that end of it. But at the end of the day, these people have to be there because it's life and death. It is a life and death, and like you said, you never had a snow day. Well, you know what? If you weren't on the air, VOCM wasn't reporting what's going on, God forbid. So we'd call that essential as well. And then you guys got a plan. But you're not looking after sick patients, and they have to have it. So I guess it comes back to, why is the road impassable? And why won't the town respond and say, we have X number of nurses up on this road that are looking to get to work and they got to get there, and they're saying you're like everybody else. I can see their point. I'm stuck in the middle of saying, okay, I'm not going to get in the middle of everybody arguing of who should do what, but I do know we need to do something. There has to be something happen here, because the liability of having nurses working 20 hours, having to stay in a hotel, not be able to come home, trying to get them to work, I watched 2 nurses fall down the parking lot yesterday. One of them struck their head off my vehicle.
Oh dear.
I mean, it's because it's not just 10 to 15 centimeters. This was an extraordinary storm, and I believe in cases when the forecast present, 50 plus centimeters are possible. That's a point where it should trigger something. It should trigger a plan that says, okay, look, the forecast is indicating this. We need to implement this plan in the event it happens, and boom, it goes forward. But as far as I know, and my wife knows, there is no plan in place to get from point A to point B that has to happen.
Well,
and that to me is alarming.
Yeah. You're raising an absolutely essential point here, and we're going to try and get the town of Paradise, either the mayor or somebody else with the town of Paradise, to talk about clearing the roads and ensuring that essential workers at least have access to the roads so that they can get where they need to go, because there are an awful lot of essential workers out there. And we're also going to see if we can't find out from NLHS what the plan is or what the standards are when it comes to making sure that staff are in place to safely care for patients, because hospitals never shut down.
Absolutely right.
Yeah, you're raising a really good point here, and obviously, according to you, there's a gap, and it needs to be filled. I really appreciate your call this morning.
Linda, thanks for listening. I want to add this too, because I just want to make it, I don't want to say, there's somebody else is calling in, there's a little bit of snow on the road. Now, here's how bad the road was. A front-end loader came up from the town, and it was 16 hours after the first cut, which is drifting snow is a long time. The front-end loader, a huge vehicle, got stuck in the road. Okay, now what is anything else going to do here? See, this is my point. It's what I'm talking about is very extreme. It's not something, why can't you shovel the driveway, or it wasn't that bad. When a piece of heavy equipment fails and cannot do this, it has to get towed out and has to plow a road by going sideways and sideways and sideways to the end. It has gone too far. Now, we may have firefighters, we may have police officers, we may have people who have got to be to work. This cannot happen.
Rob, I really appreciate your call this morning. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Linda.
Okay. Bye-bye. Bye. Your thoughts on what Rob's had to say there? Extraordinary circumstances, no doubt. But what is the plan? Give us a call. And just a reminder that Metrobus and GoBus service is resuming at 10 o'clock in just a few more minutes. So anybody who relies on those services to get out and about, there is your notification. We're going to go now to Mike. You're on the air. Hi, Mike.
Hi, how are you, Linda?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm calling about something a little bit off my beaten track this morning. I usually talk about issues with the justice system. But I came across something yesterday about the Fortune Head Ecological Reserve. Now, there's a fellow named Carl Slaney who calls in trying to raise awareness about that. The Fortune Head Ecological Reserve was established in 1992. It was an old municipal dump for Fortune, and they used it from the 50s up until about 1990. Then they declared it an ecological reserve and covered up the landfill. Over the years, I guess because of erosion, the landfill's been exposed and garbage has fallen into the Atlantic. This guy, Mr. Slaney, has been trying to raise awareness about this online and by calling open line and stuff over the past several years. So that's the background, right? Yesterday,
Who named it an ecological reserve?
Oh, I think there's something geologically important there.
Okay.
And the province made it an ecological reserve. So he's been trying to get this cleaned up for several years and get something done about it. Yesterday on BBC, the most read story, and I guess it was up until Prince Andrew got arrested, is in Orkney in the British Isles, large amounts of what they call vintage plastic and debris have been washing up on the beaches in Orkney. They say there's so much of it that is overwhelming. This is what they know about the garbage, and see if you can make the connection. It's from Newfoundland. It's vintage garbage from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and they have no garbage from the 1990s. And of course, the landfill was covered over in 1992, and they stopped using it. So, I mean, the chances of it not being garbage from the Fortune Head Ecological Reserve, I'm not a scientist, but I mean, the logic and the evidence seems to suggest that 100%. I think I might be the first person to make that connection.
I saw that BBC article. I saw two separate BBC articles on it, actually. One with pictures, one without. One mentioning Newfoundland, the other not. And I was looking at some of the pictures that had been posted to this. It's one of the fellas that's kind of spearheading this issue on the beaches in Orkney has a cafe or something like that, and he had posted pictures of some of this debris. And I have to be honest with you, it looked like it came from the UK to me. I didn't see anything there that looked vaguely familiar.
Well,
and
they say in the BBC article that it came from Newfoundland.
That's what they said. Yeah, and then I thought because a friend of mine brought it to my attention, and then I thought, did we have much in the way of plastic debris from the 60s and 70s?
Well, I guess that's when the plastic packaging revolution started. And I mean, the dates certainly match up with the garbage that's fallen into the ocean from that Fortune Head Ecological Reserve.
Yeah, I was looking at. I actually took a screen grab of some of the detritus that was picked up there, and it's stuff like fairy liquid and BP wash up, which is definitely.
Oh, I mean that would be British,
that's
British. They're saying there's stuff that they can trace back to Newfoundland, and not just Canada, to Newfoundland.
Melba
and I mean nobody
sauce.
in the Orkney Islands even knows where Newfoundland is.
No, that's right.
So there must be some smoking gun there.
Yeah, unless they're trying to blame someone else. I don't know. But
I mean, to pick Newfoundland out of all the places in the world, and we got that Fortune Head Ecological Reserve that has garbage from the 50s but was covered over in the 90s, in 1990, and they say they have no plastic from the 90s. I mean, that the dates completely match.
Yeah. Like I said, only based on this one picture, this all looks like it's stuff from the UK. Most of them say things like 2p off, 3p off, right? I mean, that's pence. Eden tomato ketchup, I don't know what that is. Squeezy. Anyway,
Well,
so I don't know where they're getting the idea that it's from Newfoundland, but it's interesting.
I don't know. It is interesting, and I hope Carl Slaney is listening because, I mean, he's been talking about this for years.
I was tempted to reach out to this fella in Orkney and see where he's getting the Newfoundland stuff, because we would automatically recognize, local products, right?
Oh, definitely. I mean, so there's something there that links it to Newfoundland. I mean, out of all the places in the world, they're not going to come up with Newfoundland randomly. And like I said, the dates really match this ecological disaster we have down on the Burin, where tons of garbage has fallen into the Atlantic and has been for several years now.
Such an irony that an ecological reserve is actually a dump site.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's something the tourism board can put in their next commercial.
There you go. Mike, it raises lots of questions, and I'd love to know how they made that connection to Newfoundland. I'd like to see the proof, so to speak, if you know what I'm saying, because we'd all recognize it immediately if it was, before us, and how it ended up over there so many decades after the fact is it's alarming.
Well, I mean, it's only fallen in the ocean now.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was all covered in the landfill, and the landfill, because it's on the coastline, because of erosion over the past few years, the landfill has been exposed, and tons of garbage are falling into the ocean. So you have garbage from the 60s, 70s, 80s fallen in the ocean. It's fallen in the ocean today down there. That's been buried for 40 years. And it's the exact vintage of the garbage that's washing up in Orkney this year. And
Yeah, and we all know what those currents are like, because anytime anyone pops a letter in a bottle off the side of a boat somewhere off our coast, that's where it ends up.
Yep. So, I mean, I think that is definitely where our garbage is going.
Yeah, interesting.
Right on the beaches at Orkney.
It raises a lot of questions for certain.
It sure does.
Yeah, and if this gentleman Slaney is listening and wants to chime in, he's certainly welcome to do so.
All righty.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay.
All righty.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Yes, and that's what the BBC article says, that some of this detritus that's suddenly washed up on this beach in Orkney, and it's a voluminous amount of garbage. They claim that some of it came from Newfoundland. But, of course, the pictures that they were showing didn't show stuff that looked familiar to me, if you know what I mean. And I just named some of those products, clearly, UK products. But if it's there, if it's Newfoundland stuff, I'd like to know and see and hear more about that and how that ended up there. And if it is, in fact, from this Fortune Head Ecological Reserve, which is eroding away and releasing its long-buried garbage into the water. Anyone with thoughts on that, give us a call. We're up to news time now with Brian Medore. And we are going now to Brian. You're on the air. Hi, Brian.
Hello, Linda. How are you this morning?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I haven't phoned for a long time. I regret that Patty had to retire, and I'll phone back later on sometime in a month to talk about Patty. What I want to talk about this morning is something that nobody is noticing, and that's Alberta separatism. You know, I lived in Western Canada for 31 years, from 1981 to 2012. I witnessed the birth of the Saskatchewan Party, a vast right-wing Donald Trump party. Ask anyone who's not a Saskatchewan supporter. You'll find out what conservatism is all about. I saw the growth of the political system in Alberta and the hate that they have for Canada. Yes, they're a rich province. Yes, they have good political leaders. No, they're not Canadians. I don't believe so. You know, one thing that we all know, if you follow any bit of American media, is that the Alberta Separatism Party is being funded from the White House and Donald Trump. So Premier Smith, no lover of Canada, no lover of Newfoundland, is making it so there will be a referendum, and Alberta will separate, and Alberta will be able to make it on its own. But eventually they'll join the United States because they're bowing to Donald Trump and the vast right-wing Conservative Party. And when that happens, what we'll be in for is this. You know, as well as every other reporter, that Americans who go bankrupt because of health care. Wait until the vast right-wing people in Alberta and their friends in the White House gets a hold of our healthcare system. It'll be the same way. And, you know, nobody's worried about it. Well, they should be. Premier Smith is doing the job for Mr. Donald Trump, and so are the Alberta Conservative Party. And I believe that Alberta will separate. We're not talking about Quebec here, where they almost separated under Jacques Lejean. We're talking about Alberta separatism, followed by them joining the states, and we will join the states. Donald Trump will be in charge of our oil and our great hydroelectric plant. And all your people phoning today, complaining about the weather, complaining about snowstorms, complaining about not being able to clean up the snow. that'll be nothing compared to what's going to happen. And nobody is caring about it, Linda.
Brian, what do you suppose it is that's this potential crisis is not generating the kind of conversation we would expect from our elected leaders in particular? For instance, any Federalists, or is it seen as a fringe party? Is it seen as something to ignore for the time being? I hope it goes away, because it doesn't seem to be going away. It seems to be building a little bit of momentum. It may still be on the fringe somehow, but there's been this discontent in Alberta for decades, and it's done nothing but build and grow. So why aren't we talking more about it?
I think what's happening is that we never believed it. Yes, we believed that Quebec wanted to separate, but we never thought Alberta, and after Alberta would be Saskatchewan. But see, Linda, we don't understand that this is right-wing, Donald Trump, conservative politics. We've never witnessed that before. The Conservative Party in Newfoundland is nothing like the Conservative Party in Alberta or the Conservatives down in the United States. And until people start realizing that, one day we're going to wake up and there's going to be a separatist government in Alberta. And I lived there for 31 years. I saw the birth of the Saskatchewan Party, which is anti-Canadian. And what's happened is in Alberta and Saskatchewan, which I'm familiar with, everything is blamed on whoever is in power in Ottawa, be they conservative or liberal. So that's how I feel. I wanted to phone in for a long time, because nobody here in Newfoundland even thinks about Alberta separatism.
And we have so many ties and connections to Alberta. I'm in conversation with a friend of mine who is an Albertan born and bred as we speak this morning. We've been talking back and forth. Yeah. And I have family in Alberta, like many Newfoundlanders and Labradorians do. So it's interesting. You're absolutely right. Why it's not resonating more with Newfoundlanders and Labradorians and Canadians right across Canada to say, hey, we want you here. We appreciate you.
See, the problem is it's the political system. Premier Moe in Saskatchewan is anti-Canadian. As I said, I saw the birth of the Saskatchewan Party. The Saskatchewan Party is as conservative as the Republicans in the United States, and everything under God's half acre is blamed upon Canada, and we don't realize it. And as you say, people in Alberta, but I really think that us people here in Newfoundland are not ready for what's going to happen. And I don't know what you can do about it. When Alberta separates, there'll be a lot of pressure on Newfoundland to finally join the United States. Donald Trump probably will not be president, but his son or someone connected him will. And I think it will be too late.
Brian, you're raising some interesting points there. The fact that we have this, virtual radio silence about what is brewing and bubbling there is astounding, and how you see how differently we, as a country, dealt with Quebec, the threat of Quebec separatism versus the threat of Alberta separatism. Of course, social media is just augmenting that, tenfold. Of course,
yeah.
I will tell you this, and it started to hit me when the last election, when Justin Trudeau was elected to a majority government, and the vitriol that was heaped upon Newfoundland at the time for voting Liberal, even though the number of people who voted Liberal in Newfoundland and Labrador was far less than the number of people in Alberta who had voted Liberal. But the vitriol that was heaped upon us for exercising our democratic right, that was an eye-opener for me. I hadn't encountered that before, and it sort of hit me. It came out of left field. Or right field, for whatever.
Sure.
But that was the moment when I realized, okay, something is happening here. And we have such a huge country, it's easy to lose track.
It is. And as I said, unless you live there, unless you experience it. I've seen this coming for years and years and years. Look at the election results in Saskatchewan. Over the last number of elections, they've elected nothing but conservative governments. And I said, they're not the conservative government that Newfoundland has. And I've seen it coming. And I don't like it. And I can see how they're trying to replicate the Donald Trump conservatives in the States. It's coming, and I wish people here would become more on the go about it, because it'll be too late after it happens.
And it's up to our elected leaders to,
it is,
exercise that backbone.
One example. People don't realize it. For 31 years, I taught at a high school in Saskatchewan. I taught developmental psychology. And I noticed that in Florida, a couple of years ago, they passed a law saying that they're totally against abortion, including ectopic pregnancy, that you and I know the baby is usually dead or will die and take the mother with it. But the crowd down in Florida believes, a woman should carry an ectopic pregnancy. That's just...
You can't. It will kill you.
Sure, it will kill you. But that's what's happening in the States. Look what they're doing to the our transgendered brothers and sisters, or our gay brothers and sisters,
Brian, we'll have to leave it there, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I know.
Because we're overdue for a break. But you're raising a very interesting point, and the fact that we've been hearing and discussing so little about this movement is important to raise. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, and I'll phone back in a couple of weeks. I got a couple of things to say about Patty.
Please do.
God bless.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Your thoughts on what Brian's had to say, by all means, give us a call. When we come back after the break, we're going to hear, we had a story in VOCM News today about a family, a woman and her son, who were swamped by a massive wave at Middle Cove Beach. Well, we're going to speak to that woman when we come back after the break. And we're back on VOCM Open Line, and we're going to go now to Lynn on line 2. Hello, Lynn.
Hi, good morning, Linda. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, well, to be honest, this happened on Sunday, which happened to be Ocean Ranger Day, which I didn't know, but I forgot about and realized after that day. But yeah, I'm still coming down from it. I'm doing a little bit better. My son is safe. That's the main thing. We're okay. We're here. So, yeah, I wanted to call in this morning. I'm not a usual caller, but for the safety of the public who happen to visit Middle Cove or any beach when they see big waves in the wintertime and they want to go down and video. I just wanted to put a warning out there and a lesson learned myself, who is such a protective mother and who is also very cautious of these unexpected surges of waves that could come in with no time to think or act. And I just wanted to call in to you to talk about that.
Absolutely. And I saw the video that Emily put out there the other day.
Yeah.
And, so they had put a little heart on the beach like a lot of people do. Yeah. And then they were just waiting for the usual water to come in and wash that out. And it was, it felt like she was waiting for a long time for that to happen. But when it did happen, Oh boy, it happened. And you couldn't see it coming. At one point, you can see in the video, she goes, oh, and there it is. And you were part of that.
Very frightening. Yeah, well, I'll just tell you, there was actually a bystander who took the actual video of us going into the water that Emily received this morning and sent me. So it was quite frightening to look at. And I think they were just taking a picture of a video on the waves as well. But on Sunday, myself and my son, we were just out for a drive like we normally do, and we decided to go take the scenic route, like down around the ocean. And as we were driving past Middle Cove, because it was a calm day, and also the day before Valentine's was actually a nice day. So we didn't think, the waves, I was surprised to see how big the waves were. And so we went down, and I saw there was some people having a beach fire, and I saw this other couple that were videoing as well of the waves coming in and out. And so we stood back, safe, where I thought was safe for myself and my son, and just, watching them coming in and out. But back into the ocean by the cliffs, you could see the waves were tumbling, and they were bigger than usual. So, it was interesting to take a video of it. And without warning, I was taking a video. Without warning, this unexpected, large, powerful surge of water, like at a rapid pace, just rushed in at such a fast pace towards us with little to no warning. And I was trying to outrun it, and I couldn't, and I knocked myself. I'm actually every time I talk about it, I get a little choked up. But we were trying to outrun it, and it just grabbed us by our legs and knocked us into the water, and it tumbled us around somewhat. And my biggest concern was getting my son out of there. And I call her now my Earth Angel, and she was there with her husband, Emily and Sean. She was running from it as well because she was videoing, so she was running from it as well, this big surge of water coming at us. And she ran towards us. She heard me call out help, and she ran towards us. And she just pulled us out, risking herself as well for falling in. And she pulled Lukey out, and they huddled us then. We had to run up to the top of the beach, because it was coming in so high up to the top of the beach. And we huddled there, and they were trying to keep us warm because we were drenched from head to toe. They brought us to safety. And I didn't even feel, I didn't even feel the cold water. It must have been my adrenaline and the safety of my son. And so then they brought us up. We were pretty, I guess you could say, in shock. And they brought us up to our car. They followed us home. They brought us into our house because we were pretty shook up. But I just want to let the public know that I learned after these are called these type of waves I call sneaker waves. I didn't even know they exist, or a sleeper wave. And it's a powerful surge of water that rushes at a very fast speed further up the beach with no warning. And you could be watching the ocean, you could be videoing the waves for and seeing smaller waves come in 10 or 20 times, and all of a sudden it's it was a storm, probably to do with this storm that we have. It was brewing way offshore. So it's just building and building and building, and they will strike without beachgoers or anyone with no warning at all. And so that's what knocked us into the ocean and gave us biggest scare of our lives.
Well, indeed. And you were running away from this wave, and you felt it catch your legs and just haul you out.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was. It's like it was coming at such a fast pace, and then it was going back out at such a fast pace. So what it did, we couldn't outrun it. experienced anything like it in my life. I just was grabbing my son's hand. It sucked my phone out of my hand, which I don't care less about because that could be replaced, but you can't replace us. And so anyways, and then it tumbled us like in the water there. And then I was just thinking another one's going to come and bring us further and further out. And so anyways, Emily heard me scream out, and she ran while it was going on. She ran into it. And she just grabbed our hands. And, I don't know. I was pretty in shock. I don't know how I would have been without her help. Lukey was frantic because he was worried about, I just said his name, but that's it. But he was worried about his mom. So in the video, he's trying to grab me to not, he didn't want me to go out further. But, I had to call because God forbid if anything happened and people are down there looking at the waves this time of the year, those sneaker waves or those sleeper waves are there, and they could strike any time. And, I just want the public to be safe.
How old is your son, and how's he doing?
He's doing good. He's 23. He's very small 23. He has special needs. I lost my husband in May, so he loves talking to the ocean, to his dad, and so that's what he was doing. And I honestly thought I was standing back far enough for his safety and mine, because I'm like an overprotective mom. And so he's doing okay. I banged up my leg a bit. I'm wearing. It's getting better though. I'm wearing a. Next day I had to go to my family doctor and I had to get an X-ray because I don't know what I did. I must have twisted trying to get my son to safety, and so I'm just wearing like a compression brace type of thing on my leg. It just took me the guilt and feeling so bad for my son was the part that killed me the most because, his safety is everything to me. But, my family keeps telling me, Lynn, you didn't know that type of wave was coming in. But, it's a hard lesson learned that I don't think I would visit there in the winter, no matter how wonderful the waves look. Because I think that's when these sleeper or sneaker waves can happen more often than not, that maybe the public aren't even aware of.
Well, I was going to ask you that. I mean, how do you feel about the ocean now? We live near the ocean. We sometimes take it for granted. I know an awful lot of people have a deep respect for it, knowing what it's capable of doing. But how do you feel about it now?
And I do have a deep respect for it. I love the ocean. I honestly love it. I'm sure I will go back again. Probably not in the winter time, but I definitely will be back. My oldest son, went down the next day to look at the ocean and walk around. He was up standing right back, and he wanted to size up like kind of what his mom and his little brother were trying to figure out what was going on with the waves and everything, the day before. But, as far as the ocean goes, the ocean has its own mind. It's unpredictable, and you don't know the danger of it. Unexpectedly, like what happened to us happened, and I did not expect that. I didn't see it coming, and because we were watching it for a while, with the other couple that was there, people were having a fire, so I felt safe. I just thought it was pretty neat to take the video of the waves that were out further. But I will visit again because I love nature. And I love the ocean, and all our family do.
Well, Lynn, thank goodness that Emily and Stephen were there, and thank goodness that you and your son are all right. But it's an important lesson to remind people about, and I appreciate you doing so.
Okay, you're welcome.
All right, all the best to you.
You're welcome.
All right.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Lynn there with a very frightening incident on Middle Cove Beach this past Sunday. And, you know, we go down to places like Cape Spear and all kinds of popular tourist haunts and the like, and you see the signs, they're everywhere, you know, do not go down over these rocks. Do not get close to the water. It can change. And a lot of people ignore it. How many times have I been down to Cape Spear, for instance, and see people going right on down over into the rocks? And, you know, some people will sing out to them, hey, you're supposed to be up here. And they'll just, you know, give you the dismissive wave, like, leave me alone, I know what I'm at. You know, there was a young woman, remember, she was taking pictures, watching the waves, and she got swamped. Somebody else caught her on video, and that went viral. And thank goodness she was all right. But we've seen too many tragedies along our coastline when people, I guess, venture too close, and things can get pretty unpredictable. And to see those waves come in like that, it reminded me to an extent of the tsunami in like Sri Lanka and Thailand, and that you saw the video of this wave coming in. It's never like Hollywood. It's never that big curling, you know, wall of water. It's just this insidious, non-stopping and relentless incursion is all I can say. And it just sweeps you up and off you go. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we hope to hear from you. And we are back. We're going now to Charlie. You're on the air. Hi, Charlie.
Oh, good morning, Linda, again. And still nice to hear you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have to start with a little anecdote. Are you a Scrabble player?
I tell you now, I used to play Scrabble until I started playing with a good friend of mine, and she sucked the joy out of it for me. She's very competitive.
You have to learn all the 2 and 3 letter words that are joiner. After that, you become twice as good. But anyway, I was playing. I've been playing for about 25, 30 years. So I was playing yesterday with somebody from Oregon, and I had played them years ago. So we connected for the first time. We used to chat a lot as we played Scrabble. And anyway, during this game, we were chatting, and I said, "By the way, do you think that the love of the divine is unconditional?" That's always a good question, right?
Why not? Just throw it out there, see what he thinks.
Yeah. So anyway, she didn't say anything. And then I thought, I remember. She said she was an atheist years ago. So I commented. I said, well, I guess it's a moot point for you anyway. Anyway, she plays a word, and I play mine. I look at my rack, and do you know what word is on that rack? IMPIOUS, impious, not religious. Now, bingos come maybe once or twice a game, very common words like retaining and training and so on. Words like that come once every probably 50 games. Anyway, for that to come immediately after that conversation, being so rare, I've played over 30,000 games. I've never played that one before. Can you imagine? Some people would call that coincidence. Other people believe the world, the universe is full of magic. Anyway, take it for what you will.
Magic and signs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Signs, yeah, exactly. I could talk a lot about that, but I won't. Anyway, just a couple of things. That hiring of Dr. Whalen, I think his name was, they had a health accord recently that came out with a report with all those recommendations and advice for what to do for the next 10 or 15 years. You're familiar with that, right?
An extensive document, absolutely.
So my question would be to the PCs, although I'm glad they got in, so I'm not going to knock them too hard. Why would you hire, at that rate of pay, an advisor with healthcare experience when you got all that study behind you for things that you would like to do or should do? Would that be a reasonable question?
I think it would. It is an absolutely reasonable question.
Well, anyway, I won't
Is there a reasonable
further.
answer?
Yeah, I won't comment comment further, but they talk about when they're in opposition, we got to spend wisely and we got to do all this. And as soon as they get in, I'm damned if they don't do what. That's why we got rid of the Liberals. They were so free with our money, right? And now they're starting again. Anyway, I'll go on to my next topic. Did you hear that John Risley? His company being sued, or owes, I should say, about $775 million. Did you see that story?
Yes, absolutely. We talked about it off the top of the show, as a matter of fact.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear that. Anyway, it brought to mind the other fellow who bought the airport. What's his name?
Mr. Diamond, Carl Diamond.
Yeah. So they were involved with the same kind of thing. He was involved with the airport, and Risley was supposed to be involved with all this wind energy and hydrogen. And of course, Diamond was hoping the airport would be a mass of people and flights, and he would make his money there. But anyway, it was interesting that the two of them seemed to be money problems when they were kind of related in that way. It just a thought.
With the Stephenville connection there, yeah, absolutely. I don't think there are very many parallels now, just the same between John Risley and Carl Diamond. But I see where you see that nexus point there.
Yeah. Anyway, Obama came out the other day and said that yes, there's UFOs, but they're not in Area 51. That's the area where they're supposed to be underground and that, right? And I've done so much research on this. Reagan, when he was flying his plane, him and his pilot had an encounter. I don't know if you're aware of that, but Reagan caused him to do a lot of things because the craft next to the plane was not a man-made craft. They explained what had happened, and it was in his world. And then Jimmy Carter, he was holding a press conference with a large number of people, and right above them, he saw the UFO, and he became a believer. But anyway, I thought it was interesting that a lot of countries, Britain, Brazil, Russia, United States, and France have done major studies in this, and the only one that cast any doubt was the States, but they said there was a lot of other things they couldn't explain. There were a lot of other things. And the rest of the studies basically admitted that there's lots of things happening up there. There's lots of things that have been seen by pilots, by other people who are well-versed in this, and they just haven't got a clue what they are. So if anybody denies their existence, they're denying the reports of literally millions of people, many trained observers, intelligence officers, radar, and so on. So I don't know if you want to comment there or not.
Well, mankind as a species is continually learning and getting its eyes opened to various phenomenon over the centuries, and things that were unexplainable become explainable over time. So who knows?
Well, one of the things they've come up with is that instead of from another distant galaxy, because they get problems with the distance there, is that many scientists are saying that there's evidence of parallel universes, parallel to other dimensions, and when these things click in and out immediately, that's a sign that it could be from a parallel universe or another dimension. Take that as your thought for today. Anyway, I'll leave it at that.
It's mind blowing, is what it is. The possibilities and the such. Whether or not it's all deep in our imaginations, or whether there is proof that we have yet to find, remains to be seen. But it's an interesting conversation for sure, Charlie. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, last comment is not deep in our imaginations. What I saw in 1980 from my trailer, when it was filled with light, on a sunny day, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I look out over the harbor in Bay Roberts, and there's this huge globe in the sky. probably a kilometre or so above the ocean, and it takes off at warp speed in through the harbour. That was not my imagination, Linda, and is not the imagination of millions of other people. Anyway,
Wow.
now I'll leave it at that.
Wow. Charlie, thank you.
Okay, you're
All
welcome.
right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. We're going to take a very short break, and when we come back, we hope to speak with you. By the way, for the first time this morning, we have some lines open. Now is your opportunity to give us a call. And we're back on VOCM Open Line. What are the roads like out there now? Are the plows getting to your neck of the woods? I'd like to hear what you have to say about that. We received a call this morning from a gentleman whose wife works in healthcare, a registered nurse, has to get into work, and they happen to be in Paradise, and he says they, as they were getting ready for her shift, they encountered 4 feet of snow on their particular road, and more registered nurses on that street as well, and not getting any satisfaction, as he outlined, from either the town or NLHS in terms of getting them to work. So have you encountered any problems? And we've been trying to reach the mayor of Paradise to see how snow clearing has been going in that particular municipality. Here in St. John's, I have to say the major routes anyway have been cleared and are being cleared throughout the course of this extended storm period. Looking out across Kenmount Road there now, and the snow is still, looks like it's falling and blowing around still. Low these many hours later. So are you exhausted with the snow? Are you out there now shoveling? Because suddenly we have a lull in the calls that we are receiving. So anything on your mind, give us a call. A woman called earlier this morning as well, indicating that she feels galled by this idea that Dr. Des Whalen is getting paid $275,000 through MCP when a good friend of hers who requires home care cannot get the home care that she needs on a regular basis. And she finds that galling. Anyone who is out there and relies on home care and can't get the home care that they require, I'd like to hear what you have to say as well. Or how do you find it? Do you find it adequate? By all means, give us a call. Just an update on the weather situation. We understand now that the Carpenter Millwrights College will remain closed for the rest of the day, and of course, schools in the metro area were closed for the entirety of the day. If you recall, the last storm that we had, one of the problems that was encountered by many schools in and around metro was not that they couldn't get the buses on the roads or that the kids couldn't get to school. It was because they couldn't clear all of the parking lots in a timely manner. And I don't know if that's what part of what prompted the all-day school closure today, but I know one thing, my son is loving it. We're going to go now to John. You're on the air. Hi, John.
Good morning, Linda. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad.
What's on your mind?
The appointment for Dr. Whalen and his big, large salary that he's getting. I don't quite understand it, why the Premier would even do something like that when he knows. I mean, people, ordinary people, whatever, is struggling with everyday living. And to give such an excessive salary for a minimal amount of work, like for a part-time job.
And paid through MCP, not through the Premier's office or...
Well, according to him, you got both sides of the coin on this one, because you got the opposition now is saying that it's coming through the MCP, and then you got the Premier saying that that's the money that's given, that's allocated to all premiers, for when that's that they can do at their discretion to whatever they want to do with it. But whether it is or whether it's not, I think, I'm probably not only thinking, I'm pretty well sure know that he can get someone out there that can give just good advice on what he's looking for, and not cost $275,000.
Well, as Charlie pointed out, we have a health accord.
Exactly. I mean, what are these people being paid for? What are you just going to disconnect all that? And then all of the ones that the government they come in. Oh, we got to get someone to look into this, and we'll pay them this much money and get it, and we'll get a report on it. All the reports that have been out there. And then one can't seem to get their hands on none of that. I mean, I'm sure it's all been looked at before. Everything in there has been looked at 100,000 times. To me, it's just lining the pockets after the buddies and that, which I don't agree about. I mean, I'd love to have that job. Gee, I quit my job now. I mean, that man is getting almost 8 times the amount that I'm getting for a year. And he only got to work 28 hours. He only got to put in 28 hours a week. You know, that's quite a bit of money for 28 hours a week.
And it's unfortunate that he's at the focal point of all of this, because I'm sure he's a very accomplished human being and a professional in every way, and that people would probably seek out his advice on matters. But the fact of the matter is, it was a decision made and approved by someone in government. It's not so much about him; it's about the decision that was made.
That's what it all boils down to. It's a decision that was made by the premier. You know, I mean, he's got to take full responsibility of that, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, he appointed, and that's what he should do. I mean, there's a lot of people out there. That's working. And I mean, because I know money can be put in different places, but I'm totally, like I say, I know I work myself work in healthcare. I work as a home care worker, and I have the members of my family that work in home care. Now, I've learned that the government has come out and has given the long-term care homes monies to bring their staff up to equal wages as what we are given. They're now at $19.45 an hour. Well, they'll be behind us once April 1 comes, because we're going to get another raise at that time. But they never even looked at their own people, like for example on Eastern Health. These people who are working in the same industry as I am, there's people in there doing the exact same type of job as what I have to do, looking after a person that is totally can't do anything for themselves. You got to do everything for them. And I'm getting $19.45 an hour, and they're still getting $17.05. They never even got their wages up. And they're doing the exact same job, and they're in home care, same as me.
Wow!
Like that appalls me, and I know that for a fact, because I have a family member that is getting that exact same pay, so I know what I'm speaking about there.
And such an important job, and on which people absolutely rely.
Yes, you know, and I don't see why they're at that. You know, I mean, that's. Instead of whacking money out somewhere else, maybe they should start looking what's right there in front of their faces and what they should be doing and making it. If they want to make equalities or make everything look equal, then maybe they should have looked after their in-house before they went to the outside ones. Where, like the long-term care homes, a lot of them are private industries. People put them there, and those centers, the retirement centers, have been put there. And I mean, they're there they're owned by a private individual, and yes, they're having the same type of job as what everybody else is in regard to finding workers. So if that's what they're doing, giving them money to so they can keep workers there or get more workers there, then maybe they should look at it in their own. Maybe if they put the same money in their own pot, then they too would not have to worry about getting workers and having them work in the industry.
John, appreciate your call this morning. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye. We're up to news time now with Brian Medore. Anything that you've heard on the show this morning or that hasn't been raised yet and you want to raise, give us a call.
You're listening to a rebroadcast of VOCM Open Line. Have your say by calling 709-273-5211 or 1-888-590-8626 and listen live weekday mornings at 9 a.m.
And we're back on VOCM Open Line. We're going out to beautiful Grand Falls, Windsor now to speak with Fire Chief Vince McKenzie. Hello, Vince.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. It's been a while.
Yes, it has indeed. How are things?
Good. It's busy, of course, like everything, and the weather, of course, doesn't help. But it's like all winters. We're, as a fire department, we're busy and answering calls and those kind of things. But other than that, days are good.
I understand there is a petition that's been put together for the House of Commons. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about it. What is it all about?
Sure. So there's a petition being circulated now by MP Clifford Small, and that petition is being circulated on behalf of fire services and actually all emergency services and military personnel. And the issue has been over the last couple of years, especially since COVID, fire departments or firefighters, police officers, paramedics, search and rescue people. There is a there's a federal medal that is awarded. It's called for example, the Fire Service Exemplary Service Medal, which firefighters who have given 20 years of service are eligible to apply for, of course, and receive in recognition of their service. The process for applying for those medals, of course, you have to have the 20 years served, so you can't apply for the medal until the day as you know your 20 years are in, and then you apply for the medal to be awarded to the recipient. That process used to take 6 to 8 weeks. You apply for a medal and have the medal awarded, shipped to the fire department or other agency, and the medals can be awarded like that at an awards banquet, those kind of things. Many of our firefighters in Newfoundland and Labrador, of course, are volunteer. And what has happened since COVID is that those medals now, when we apply for them, can take up to over a year from the start of the process to the time that the medal is actually awarded and shipped back to the fire department for presentation. And these honors are greatly appreciated after 20 years of service, especially in the volunteer world, to receive the medal and to be able to wear it proudly, type thing. So what has happened is that since COVID, the medal process has basically been bogged down, and I'm pretty sure it's not only just fire services, I think police services, and maybe all the medals that are awarded by Ottawa. This is Rideau Hall in Ottawa. It's the Chancellery of Honors type thing. It's the same as military medals. And we understand there's a process and a vetting and all that kind of stuff, but for these medals to take over a year to be able to be awarded is kind of demeans the service of the people who've given 20 years of service to public service. So Clifford Small, my MP, I raised the issue with him, and he said, well, why don't we do a petition to have the House of Commons actually look into the review of the medal process and see if there's ways that we can get this fixed, get it streamlined, and again make the process more easy for departments to be able to apply for. So he's put the petition out, and right now I'm asking for your listeners to go to that petition site. It's online, and it's on Clifford Small's website. It's a big, long address for it, but you can certainly click that. You can sign the petition online, and you only have to be a citizen. You don't have to be a firefighter or anything like that. You just need to be a citizen, and we need to get 500 signatures to qualify this petition to be read, of course, in the House of Commons, and hopefully get the ball rolling to to get back to the honor of the 20-year service medals for fire services, not only volunteer but our career services, and I'm sure the paramedics, the search and rescue, and the police services are probably in the same process where it takes just as long to get these awards. So I'm asking your listeners if they would take the time to go to Cliff Small's Facebook page, MP Clifford Small, Costa Bays, and you'll see the petition there, and you can click on it. And I think you can search the petition as well at House of Commons. It's E-7075, and we only have about a week left in order to make this petition eligible. So I figured I'd reach out to Open Line and to yourself on behalf of the fire services and in the province and in Atlantic Canada, actually, because as you're aware, I'm immediate past president of the Maritime Fire Chiefs Association as well, and we certainly support this petition.
Vince, any idea what happened pre versus post COVID to bog this system down?
Well, I think it goes to capacity. For some reason, prior to COVID, the process would take 6 to 8 weeks. The fire department would apply to the provincial association. The provincial association would then forward that name, because each province, either it's the fire commissioner's office or the provincial association, would vet the service to actually ensure that firefighter has that service, and then forward the application to Rideau Hall for awarding. And again, that process would take about 6 to 8 weeks. The medals would show up. My experience here in Grand Falls, Windsor, in the last 4 or 5 years is I've waited up to 18 months to get the medal. Of course, when you got a volunteer firefighter who's got 20 years service, and the next firefighters awards banquet, you want to be able to present this person with their medal. Lots of times the medal is not there to present. You just make mention of it, and it just kind of takes away from the honor that these volunteers and our firefighters deserve after 20 years of exemplary service. Right?
Certainly, and when you offer yourself in that kind of way, I mean, I don't need to tell you, firefighters deal with all kinds of situations and stuff that ordinary people wouldn't get out of bed for. Let's put it that way. And
exactly.
So these honors mean something.
It means something, and of course, people don't do it just to get a medal. That's certainly not the case. But when you have 20 years of service given to the community, it is certainly a nice acknowledgement of firefighter service that they be awarded from the federal government, from Rideau Hall, which is the Chancellery, an official government medal saying thank you, and you've provided this service. These are the people who also issue the military medals and the official honors right up to the Order of Canada to our citizens and those kind of things. But again, I think the crux of it is that if somebody is given 20 years, you think we could expedite the process to actually have them recognized in a timely fashion, and especially from a volunteer world, we say we appreciate our volunteers. We're always praising our volunteers, but this is something that the federal government, I think, is kind of dropping the ball on now in the last 2 or 3 years. And I think it's just a matter of increasing the capacity, increasing the mechanism of being able to process these applications and get it out. And also, I think the Mint, who strikes the medals, because the medals are struck and they are engraved with the person's name on it, speed up that process as well. Fully realized, there are 100,000 firefighters in Canada and more. There are military personnel, there are police personnel, and the thousands and thousands and thousands. So I would imagine there's a fair amount of volume of requests for medals to Ottawa. But so if that's the case and it's slowing down, well, I think it's time we just increase the capacity.
Vince, thanks so much for bringing this to our attention. And once again, anybody who's interested in signing the petition, they can find it on Clifford Small's Facebook page.
Yeah, exactly. And also on the House of Commons, the website there, it's petition E-7075. I think if you search for that, it'll be there. But like I say, it's a URL. You can sign it online. You only have to be a Canadian citizen. But just be careful, because there will be an email come after you sign it to verify that you actually signed this, and that's what makes the petition valid.
Vince McKenzie, appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Linda, and it was good to hear from you, or good to talk to you again, and I look forward to your support. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. That's the fire chief with the town of Grand Falls, Windsor, Vince McKenzie, about the 20-year service awards for exemplary service in the fire services. If you have thoughts on that, you're welcome to give us a call. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we hope to hear from you. And we are back, and the City of St. John's will be providing an update with Lynn-Ann Windsor this afternoon at 3 on snow clearing in the capital city region, and where exactly they're putting all this snow, quite a copious amount over the last little while, and no immediate end in sight anyway. So we'll get an update on that, and VOCM News will be following that for you. We're going to go now to the caller on line 1. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
I just want to call in and say, when people get in government, it don't take them long to change. I'm talking about concerning Mr. Wakeham, the new premier. Like, he haven't been even in the house yet, as far as I'm concerned. And he's, he changed already. Because when he was campaigning, he was saying he was for the people, all the people, and criticizing all the things the Liberals done, which I voted Liberal and I voted PC. But it seems like when they get in, they promise us all this stuff and campaigns on honesty and just and upright and all this stuff. It's too bad they can't follow through with it. And like I said, they talked about all the money they wasted on in the healthcare with the traveling nurses. And now we're going down the same path with a doctor, which is not his fault. It was offered to him, and you'd be silly to say no. Someone going to give you something that you don't even have to work very much for. So I just want to say it's too bad when this is for the people, all the people. They don't think about what they're doing before they jumps ahead and does stuff. And this new health minister down in Labrador, I've heard her on lots of times because I listen to the news all the time, talking about how hard it is to get the people out from Labrador for medical appointments and different things. I'm sure if she had $275,000 to spend on the people of Labrador, people would probably appreciate it a lot more because at least she's helping the people. That's my beef.
What do you expect out of the sitting of the House of Assembly now when it starts
I don't know.
in another week or so?
I don't know. They're not starting off very good. And this MOU they're talking about, I can see them looking into that, but this referendum, say half of us don't even know what to vote on it. How can you vote on something when you don't know what it's all about?
No, indeed, and then you have to craft a question and all of that sort of thing, and in the end, what will be the
I see them looking
purpose?
Into it. Don't get there's no wrong to look into it, but then if somebody says it's good, or if this is bad, you take the word that way. But what would all the people know? Some people might understand it, but there's a lot of us out there that's not going to know what this referendum is all about.
Well, negotiations, things are put on the table, taken off the table, there's compromises made, there's exchanges, there's benefits, there's all kinds of stuff that goes back and forth in a negotiation process. I don't know what was talked about there. I don't know what we could have had versus what we were offered, if you know what I mean. And a lot of others don't either.
Yeah. So, and I mean to say, they talked about, the Liberals on the end of it, they did get out of hand, like with money, like with travel nurses, that's a scandal that'll never be undercovered as far as I'm concerned. And then with, the piece of land that there's someone give them and they'd paid for it, and then there was the Costco building that they could have bought and ended up leasing it, and all kinds of stuff, right? And now the PC's getting right back in and not even got house open yet, and they're starting off on a pretty good track, I'd say.
It goes all ways for certain, and that's why we all collectively have to keep government's feet to the fire, no matter who they are.
Yeah, and I mean to say, if they're going to be saying for the people, all the people, they're not starting off on a very good footing.
Caller, I appreciate your time this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
We're going to go now to Leonard. You're on the air. Hi, Leonard.
Hey, Linda. How's everything?
Good.
I just want to give you an update on the road. You mentioned earlier you wanted an update.
Yeah.
I left CBS about a half hour ago heading east. The passing lane is snow covered, but the normal lane is clear down to the pavement. Heading west now on the CBS access road here, same thing. So just keeping the non-passing lane, the right lane.
And are you able to get around all right? I mean, is there very much in the way of traffic?
Yeah, it seems to be a steady flow, but everybody's taking their time and obeying the speeds and everything and the road conditions. I just came from Cowan Heights. Basically, everything's smooth sailing. I can't see no issues, but just take your time. Basically, that's the rule of the road.
Absolutely.
Take your time, and you'll get to your destination safely.
And I guess passing is not a possibility right now.
Oh, I wouldn't be passing unless you're, brave.
Or foolish.
I see the Department of Highways now. They got side by side. They got two trucks there now on the lane heading east now. So the boys are doing a great job, I got to say, with the limited amount of resources. I guess is a better way to say it, because this time of year equipment gets broken down as well. So you just got to be patient. We're just after having between 50 and 70 centimeters of snow. That's a fair significant amount.
Absolutely, and it's heavy, and I mean, we know the cost on our own backs. You can just imagine what it's like for one of these big plows that's moving, tons of this stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So, hopefully this is, we can get a reprieve from this now, and hopefully not get no more, because I think we've had enough.
Yeah, we're good. We're good now. Leonard, thanks for the update. Really appreciate that.
Okay, Linda, take care.
All right. Safe driving.
Yeah, bye.
Okay,
yeah,
bye-bye.
You too, bye.
And we're going to take a very short break, and when we come back, we hope to speak with you.
The Tim Powers Show. Join the conversation weekday afternoons at 4 p.m. on your VOCM.
And a reminder to everyone, as you start to venture out after being in hibernation for the last little while, to clear off your cars, clear off your vehicles. I know it's tough sometimes when you have the bigger vehicles like an SUV and the like. Dave Williams was just talking to me about it, the so-called Mohawk. You can reach so far and you can't get the rest of it. And that's the stuff that ends up flicking off into other people's windshields or coming down over your own when you're going down over a hill or brake suddenly, and causing all kinds of problems. And that's heavy, wet, old stuff that's sticking to everything right now. So make sure you clean off your vehicle properly if you can when you're out on the road. And we've had issues like this in the past. I can remember with, some of the bigger trucks, the cube vans and the like, with that ice and snow that gathers on the top and suddenly comes off in a big peel when you're on the highway and you're behind that trying to avoid it all. It is an issue. Have you encountered anything like that out there? You can give us a call on that. How's the back doing? I would imagine that chiropractors, physiotherapists, massage therapists are doing a booming business these days, or will be in the coming weeks. Hope you're holding up all right. We're going to go now to Tony. You're on the air.
How are you this morning, Linda?
Oh, good, Tony. How are you?
I'm great.
Much snow up your way?
About this. Oh my God!
Don't be talking.
My driveway. And then you got about 50. I say heavy out in the cul-de-sac.
Oh yeah.
I say it's about. About 60 or 70 centimeters of snow. I'd say.
Jumpins.
But there's a lot of snow. But anyway, I just want to hit in on some of the stuff that's going on federally and provincially. Provincially first, if I got the time, and if not, I'll call back another day. But anyway, just on this doctor thing that was hired by the provincial government. Now, I hear Fred Hutton phone in, and he was talking about Dr. Brown. Now, Dr. Brown was the guy who was hired as a political advisor for the healthcare structure, which is taxpayers' money. Also, they have this office set up, this suite set up, a political office now, suite set up in the health science for Andrew Fury, and an assistant hired. So how much money is going out there, I wonder? And if Fred was so anxious and so worried about our health care, we wouldn't have 180,000 people without a doctor. When they closed down clinics and doctors left hospitals because they were treated so basically bad, there was people, graduate doctors here who left because they never even got an offer. We had respiratory therapists, 9 of them, again, never got an offer. We had our radiation specialists who 8 of them quit in 9 months because they were getting $10 less an hour and they were so overworked that they couldn't do it anymore. We had nurses who quit, expecting them to work 36 hours in a row without going home. So, I mean, this is all gone, and this is what's going on. We had millions of dollars going through department to department in government. There was no accountability for it. Don't know where it went. Fred was there when all this was going on, and especially he was also a special advisor to the Premier. And also, I mean, we got this $83 million win at Costco. I don't know if that was one of now I don't know if it's true or not, but I thought it was one of Andrew Fury's best friends. And they never sold it. I mean, $83 million just for an old warehouse when we have empty buildings here. Our government, empty buildings here in St. John's. And they decided to pay that much money and not counting the tens of millions of dollars it cost to do it up. And same thing with our land, the land there up on Kmart Road, where they paid over $21 million for a piece of land, 50 acres, when they, and there they are, they sold it before, and then they ended up making big buddies, sold it to their buddies, I guess, or sold it for after buying it, and cost them a fortune to do it. Also, they had 138 acres just down the road from it. And you could go on and on with this government, but the wastage that they've gotten. I mean, you should also, next time Fred ask them what happened to the Comfort Inn when they when they could have bought it for around $3 million and leased it out for 3 years for $21 million, and then cost another almost $19 million for do it up. Almost $40 million, and it took them over a year just to get somebody in there. And now it's that much money gone to waste instead of buying it. And we would have had it, and would have saved $20 million on it. So him to get on there, and just the service and what it costs. I mean, we're in debt now about $20 billion plus under this government, because they've been shutting down half the businesses here on the island. And I mean, it's just unbelievable. There is no stop. You got Lisa Dempster speaking, who was going to, when she was opposition, she was going to want to separate from Newfoundland because they didn't want to ignore Labrador, and here she is now since she got in minister in power. The only way knows who she is. I think she was the same one that said, I wish they knock off complaining. So, I mean, this is the kind of opposition. I mean, it's embarrassing for them to come out after everything they've done to the people. And you can remember when they had that last election, I think it was the election before, when you had so much corruption going on, when you couldn't get a hold to anybody who had an election, a vote, you couldn't get it in. I mean, you guys, you were all over this. I mean, I must say with that, because you tried yourself, you couldn't get in, and couldn't get voting online. I mean, just unbelievable the stuff that's starting going on in this government. And the way with home care, I know it's people in home care, and it's got nothing to do with what happened was even a year and a half ago, people are not getting in the system because they're not getting paid enough money. And what happens, I know one person who couldn't even take 2-week holidays because there was no staff to replace it because the government wouldn't pay him anything. At that time, they were only getting around $17, $18 an hour.
I gotta back up on something you said earlier. There's something about voting. What?
Remember that back a few years ago when the election had happened, when you could phone in or you could register online. And all the corruption that went on was with that you couldn't vote, you couldn't send in your vote, you couldn't get online because it didn't work, you couldn't phone in
during COVID.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Sorry. Yeah. You said it, and I was like, what? I couldn't remember what exactly. No, I remember the incident. I just didn't know which one you were talking about. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
And they sent the voters down to Labrador, and they sent them down a day before the voters had to be in. The voting had to be. I mean, this is the kind of stuff went on under this government. But the billions of dollars that they wasted. I mean, healthcare, the hospital in in the Waterford Hospital that they put in there by the health science. I mean, here you are. They paid a fortune, $40 million more for that hospital than it was out at the time. That the contractor before that had a better design. And then when they got the contract, then they shut down 40 rooms and no answer, no cutting salaries, and no answer to why they done it or why didn't they get the money back. But there's so much corruption gone through this government. I mean, you talk the same thing with the nurses, the traveling nurses. We paid out $245 million. Like, it just keep going on and on. I mean, one time, first they discovered they were getting $10 million a month, and then it was $245 million that they paid out. So I like to have for the Liberals to come up with this, and the 300 taxes and fees they put on people. And I guess you can recall when we had to pay $90 a year just to stay in Newfoundland. So, I mean, this is the kind of stuff that they done when they were in there. And again, like I said, Fred was an advisor. So, I mean, it's just disgusting. And the people couldn't afford to eat. We had tents up everywhere. I mean, just stared people to death. People couldn't afford to pay their light bills. So, I mean, this is... And it's embarrassing. And when Fred said he'd like to go down, remember years ago. Well, he will be remembered years from now because it's not for what he wants, though. It's going to be a disgrace to these problems is what he done and what they done when they were in power, and how they can get on now and complain about the problems that it cost. It took them 10 years to destroy, and they expect now the Conservative Party, the PC Party, to fix in over 100 days. And they got to try to get in the mess of this now and clean up all the mess that took them 10 years to destroy. So just give them a little bit of leniency and just to see what happens. Just wait until the budget comes down. It says they're going to cut taxes. God knows we need taxes cut to put more money in your pockets.
All right, Tony, you've raised a myriad of issues and questions, all targeting the Liberal opposition. And if there's any members who want to challenge you or answer those questions that you've raised, they're certainly welcome to give us a call. I really appreciate your time, Tony.
Yes. I got lots of more, Linda. All right, you have a great day.
All right, we'll save it for another call. Thanks.
Yes, I will. All right.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Bye-bye. Tony, he's got his list there, and he raises interesting points, and because over time you forget some things. But if anyone wants to respond to what he's had to say, they're certainly welcome to pick up the phone and give us a call. Now we have a few lines open in the last few minutes of the show. Here is your opportunity. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we hope to hear from you. And we're back. We're going now to Cecil. Hello, Cecil.
Yes. Good morning, Linda. I wanted to talk about Dr. Williams. There is I don't know. I haven't heard anyone talk about the number of hours that he's doing. He's doing 28 for the government, but if he's keeping his practice, which I heard last night that he billed MCP for more than $300,000 for service. So I'm going to guess that he's not giving his patients away or anything. If he's keeping that practice, even at say 40 hours a week, and then the 28 for the government, which is both of them are normally Monday to Friday services, and I'm just wondering. How is he going to make the time? How is he going to remain competent and focused if he's putting in 10 to 12 hours a day yeah. So anyway, that's one of the things that I haven't heard about is, because I think being a competent doctor that he's not going to give up on his clients and not going to give up on the money that comes with that, because most of us work a 40-hour week, and if he's got 28 for the government, he's only got 12 for surgery and his patients.
Yeah, and I guess that's something he has to work out, which is a good question, actually. And I don't know if anyone's been able to answer that for us yet. The answers may be out there. I just personally haven't seen them.
Right, yeah. So anyway, there was that. The other thing, on Monday, you had mentioned a mice problem. I know a solution for that because we ran into that when we lived in the prairies, and the mice used to chew out the wires in our cars.
Oh yeah.
And what we found out was that if you actually use bounce sheets and put it in your car or your house or wherever, the smell of the bounce will deter the mice.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That seems like a rather simple solution.
Yeah, and I wanted to call in the other day, but I got busy. But I thought, I happen to know this, so I thought I might just pass it along. And with all the snow, the mice are going to be trying to get in. So, yeah, maybe it help some people out. I
appreciate that, Cease. Thanks for the tip. Bounce dryer sheets will prevent mice from getting where you don't want them to be.
Yeah, because we've woken up on the prairies and the car won't start because the wires are tuned. So.
Oh wow, yeah. I guess they find the heat from the residual heat from the motor or whatever, and then they go there. Wow, yeah, interesting. Cecil, thank you very much for that.
Yeah. Oh, and one other topic. They were talking about the lack of electricity and power and that. Way back when I was in school in the 70s, they were talking about treadle power and wave power and that, and it was big. And Norway and Scandinavian countries do it, and it seems to work well. And here we are surrounded by water, and there's no talk of it. And, so, yeah, I thought that was something that could come up as well. The other part is with the windmills. Like if you ask Google how many ohms a windmill will power, and Google comes back with 900. We have all these windmills here that could be bought and easily converted to power the ohms in Newfoundland. And and I just see the politicians or whoever's in charge being short-sighted in, we have wind, solar, and tidal power, and there doesn't seem to be much investment in that. So anyway, that's the thoughts. Yeah.
Cecil, thank you very much for your call this morning, and we'll see what others have to say about it.
Okay, thank you. Have a great day.
All right, thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. And, of course, this is a big day for Olympic hockey. Team Canada, the women's team, is up against the juggernaut that is Team USA. Brian, you're going to have the TV on, I know, in the newsroom this afternoon.
Yeah, I kind of think we'll be cheering on, in the background, kind of trying to do our work and keeping everyone attuned as to the score of that game. There have been several occasions in the past, 25, maybe 30 years or so, where Canada has kind of been an underdog in that gold medal game, but things change. It's why they play the game.
Absolutely. And Team USA, wow, they just the less said about that particular game, the better, I guess.
Yeah, that was certainly a no match. I think my little guy and I turned that off early in the second period, something like that. It was that just was not going to happen that particular day.
No, but yesterday's game, whew, with the men.
Well, what can you say? I think we can pretty much conclude now that there are about a half a dozen countries that are just simply dead even. And the difference between a victory and a loss is maybe a save here, a save there, a bounce here, a bounce there, or an overtime goal here and an overtime goal there. It's just that close. You look at Canada on paper. How can Czechoslovakia or Czechia or Czechia, whatever you call, how can they possibly keep pace with us? But boy, it took a Herculean effort just to send it into overtime.
And it felt like chance. When it goes into overtime, it feels like it's just chance.
Yep, anybody's game.
Yeah, absolutely. So those semifinal matchups now are going to be big ticket items.
Yeah, lunchtime tomorrow. We've got Canada, Finland, and, well, we know the Finns are right there with Canada. There's not a whole lot of separation there. Now, the United States, Slovakia, that might be a bit of a different story. But then again, who knows?
I don't know. Slafkovsky, he's doing pretty good.
Yep.
And what's the latest on Crosby now? Is he going to be in or out?
Slim chance that he will play. He didn't participate in the optional practice this morning, or skate, whatever they call it. He didn't participate there. No, nobody figured he would. But, Nick, if Crosby doesn't get injured, I'm not sure if that game even gets to overtime, because guess who scored the tying goal on the deflection?
Mr. Suzuki.
There you go. Montreal Canadian and the replacement for Crosby. So, when you get to that stage, I'm not sure if there's a lot of difference between whether it's Crosby, whether it's Nick Suzuki. I mean, in the end, it's the team that has to win that game. It's not going to be Crosby or Suzuki.
And I have to say, Mitch Marner's goal was just a thing of beauty.
How do you go through three players at that level? I don't know. I'm still, when I see it, I'm just mesmerized. How did three great players just simply stand around and let him go through them all and with that backhand right into the far side of the net?
Yeah, amazing. Ricky and I in the newsroom were just like, screaming. You probably heard us, and we heard you. Brian Medore, thank you.
Right you are.
Okay. And go Team Canada this afternoon. That's going to be one to watch. Battle Royale for sure. Team USA, though, in the women's hockey is a real juggernaut. Women's hockey was always dominated by Canada, but not so much anymore. Anyway, we wish them all the best. We're going to go now to Annie. You're on the air.
Hi, Linda. I haven't spoke to you in a long, long time.
Yes.
I'm just making a call here now. The end of the show is a silly call, but it's a common sense call. The best deterrent for a mouse, Linda.
Right.
It's a big tomcat.
Is a cat. I was going to say, absolutely.
Now, I called you to tell you this. He's not with us anymore, but we had him for 17 years. We got him in 2005. We rescued him from the street. We're in a rural area. He was a hunter. So, of course, he hunted mouse. He cleaned the whole street, right from, I'm in Red Harbor here, right from the church around all the homes. I said to everybody, don't hurt him if he comes on your property. He's only doing his job. He's a tomcat. Needless to say, Linda, we'd taken to the vet for shots. He was hunting moose. But we let the cat be the cat. Now, the reason why I'm making the call to you this morning is I'm an animal lover, especially a pussycat lover. I had to talk to Tim Powers about that one day. I don't believe totally in barring a cat up. You're told, okay, you rescue your pets, keep them inside. But a cat on your property is a deterrent for keeping the mouse out of the house, just because the cat is there. That don't mean you're abusing the cat if you're feeding the cat and letting it in and out. Years ago, there was no such thing as barring tomcat in the house.
No, I know that. But there's a lot of people would argue, Annie, and I might be one of them, that, if you got your cat out around, it's not only killing the mice and keeping the rats away, it's also killing birds.
Yes, it is. But it's a cat. So, it's in their nature. So where do you draw the line at letting an animal be what it is? Right? My cat, the one that I rescued, was not happy being barred inside the house and kept as a pet that, you would keep inside. So, what did we do? A beautiful cat that was took to the vet whenever he needed to go for vaccinations and deworming, whatever. But he wanted his day around our property and around our street doing his thing, and he loved it. So that's just all, just what I called to say.
I do know some cats are almost impossible to keep in, yes.
Okay, so female cats may be different. Tomcats, right? I'm just saying, but we rescued this cat from the street. So he wasn't taken as a kitten, you know, and he didn't know no other life, right? That's the point I'm making. But, I mean, basically, I know there's always opposition to what you got to say, but, I mean, the best deterrent for mice is cat.
Yeah, just the smell of a cat in a house or a litter box, for that matter, will keep mice away. So, yeah, they're very effective tools when it comes to pest control. Absolutely.
Well, you go pick up the mouse traps, and on the mouse trap you'll see the big black tomcat trot out.
Yes, that's right there on the trap, isn't it? Yeah.
And I'm making a friendly call.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, people love their pets dearly, and they don't want to put them outside. I get that, but when we rescued this fellow, it was close to a year old. He wanted to go outside, so we're in a rural area. There was no harm done to him being outside because we wasn't on a busy place. He was street smart anyway.
There you go.
So, we let him do his thing, and then we paid behind him to take him to the vet to keep him because he was an inside cat. But, Linda, we went above and beyond for that cat that we rescued. We had a special room because we got a big home, and then, our daughter was already left. And we made a special place for him so he could come and go. He had a lovely life as a tomcat.
Annie, we have to leave it there. We're completely out of time. Thanks for your call.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye. Annie's had the last word on Open Line today. Thank you, everyone, for your contributions to the show. We'll be back tomorrow. Thank you, Dave, as well, for handling things on the other side of the glass. We're up to news time now with VOCM's Brian Medore.